Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, that's your right.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, so welcome to the session, everyone. Good evening. And okay, so right, this is so this session we actually wanted to have, some part of week 6 also, but unfortunately could not complete our application building in the last session, right? So the session, the group of or the couple of sessions that I thought would be sufficient are okay, are not. So anyway, we'll try to start off with creating the application on based on the database that we have created, right? Uh, by the way, why there is a sudden drop in participation? Okay, anyways, doesn't matter. You can watch it live later on. I mean, live now, and then later on it will be available on the YouTube also. So I hope there is some. Anyways, no issues. Okay, so the agenda of this session would be to create the application, right? So whatever we were doing at the back end with the use of command line interface, and then now we want something to appear on the screen, and we should be able to interact it with it on the screen as an application, as a web application specifically. So now, configuration with Flask SQL Alchemy is okay, but now we'll try to create the application. Uh, and we okay, just let me share my screen before. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible. I'll just open the uh, yeah, Sublime Text. This is this is the one-to-many relationship, right? These are the two models for one-to-many relationship that we had created before in previous sessions. And this will be the base for our application today. We'll be using we have both one-to-many and many-to-many, but I guess we'll be using one-to-many. All right, so we will go ahead with the idea of having one section having multiple books, but the converse being false, right? So that is something we'll do. And so what we were till now doing was I mean we are trying to so we were running this application, and not actually running, we were using it on the shell, importing classes from that application and then going ahead. We were not creating an application and running on it, right? So before that I have some chat. Yes, Pras. This is the extension of previous session. So just give me a let me give you a small recap of what happened. I will not go through the entire part. We had two sessions, right, on Wednesday and Thursday continuously. And what we tried to do was we tried to establish some familiarity with Flask SQL Alchemy. And we created two files for app.py and app2.py, as you can see here. So one comprises of models that are related with one-to-many relationship, and the other one, these in this the same models are created, but they are related with many-to-many relationship. So the idea was to understand what is the difference, and based on this we wanted to create an application, but somehow due to some time limitations we could not do that. So this is something we will be extending and continuing with it, right? Somebody had raised their hands before. I just saw, could not see the name.
Sir, I have 3-4 doubts with respect to lab assignment. When can we take that up, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, doubt one is lab assignment 6 due tomorrow?
Lab assignment 6, yeah. So last date, right?
5 and 6 both are due tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean the portal. I mean the submission link was opened yesterday night, I guess. But as I've previously. So when we were in week 3 and week 4 lab assignment, we talked that okay, so whatever is the last date for graded questions to submit, that would be the last day for lab assignment, right? So yeah, so that would be tomorrow.
Because since until yesterday lab assignment 6 was not showing up, suddenly it is showing up in my portal.
Lab assignment 6 not showing up. Why is it so?
I'm not sure, sir. Until yesterday it was not there.
No, but the content of week 6 was released last Friday, right? And then from there itself, it would have been available to you. Question statement.
ठीक है sir, let it be. We'll try to do it. Second question is, suppose I'm in this similar kind of app, ठीक है, and I'm writing in my app.py wala thing,
Okay.
and I have a try and except statement.
Okay.
मतलब, if there is an exception, I'm catching that exception and giving an error HTML.
Okay.
But now I want to open the debugger in the middle when the exception is raised. Is there any way to do that? Since I'm catching the exception, it is not raising a debugger.
Yeah, so see, what happens is an exception is raised and your server breaks down. That should happen ideally. So what you're doing with this exception block, what you're trying to do, you're not allowing the server to break down. Once, if that is happening,
now to debug, I want the debugger to open. How do I get the debugger to open?
just create another problem.
But I won't get that error message, right? If I create another problem.
Yeah, so see, what you can do is what you want, just give me what you want. Let's try to find out that.
See, there is a try except state in the app.py. There is a try and except statement.
Okay, there is a try and except block. Okay.
Okay, try and except block. In the try block, there is an error.
Yes. Okay.
Based on that error, the except block is catching it. It is printing out the error and rendering the error page.
Okay.
This is the sequence that is happening. But what I want is, when the error is raised, I want the debugger of Flask to open. I've already set debugger to true. So how do I do that? You understood the question?
Yeah, I'm getting the question, but I am not getting, I mean, why do you want it? And then if that is the case, I mean, if you want all the error to appear as...
print the error message, but it is not clear. I'm not clear on the error message. The error message is not vague.
The error message is not clear enough for you to understand what is going on wrong with the program.
So I want the entire debugger to do it.
Okay. So, I mean, you remove the try and except block, right? See, what happens is when you I mean, when you go from one URL to another or hit some URL on the URL block, URL tab on the browser, unless and until your application crashes due to some reason, the debugger will not show error. Okay, using try and except block, you're making sure your application doesn't crash. Right. So see, why is debugger used? So that you can see the error on the screen itself, browser screen itself, rather than going into the application or the terminal. Okay. So and when will that screen appear? Whenever there is whenever for some reason your server crashes. Okay. Now the error that is appearing in try block is, since it is in try block, it is catching the error. It is not allowing the server to break. So the debug will not flag the debug to show on the screen, right? So what you can do is remove try and except block. Okay, and then understand. Then what will happen? Your debugger will show the error what it is. Okay, then try to understand. I mean, you might get the idea of what actually the error is, and then you create an HTML page based on that error, and then again put it in the this block.
Sir.
Or what you can try is what will happen if I mean, what will... Okay, so the try and except, that's what, right? So in the terminal, even where we are running our application, there also, if you're having your debugger on, it will show I mean, that is the backend, right? So it doesn't matter if your debugger is on or off. Okay, there it will show all the errors and wherever it went wrong. From there, you can understand what the problem is and then modify your HTML, what it is rendering in the except block.
I'll try that. And one more, in the update page of the assignment, you are aware of the assignment at week 5 lab assignment.
Correct. Yeah.
When we are trying to update, the roll number is already disabled. Okay. For the rest of the option for courses, should that be as per the original student? Should it be, the checkboxes should be already ticked is the question. You
Okay.
understood the
No,
question?
yeah, I get it. So, for example, there is a student who has
Yeah.
taken 3 subjects, right?
I am able to
So,
fill his first name, roll number, last name, but I need to get all those check boxes also checked?
that depends on you. I mean, that depends on you, I guess. If you do not want that boxes to appear, you can keep it as is. Okay. I mean, what we are saying is, so whenever you open a profile of a student, are we showing the list of subjects it is registered to?
That is what the question is.
Right. So, but if the list is specifically asked, then you have to do that. I mean, the list of courses it is registered to. Okay.
It's
But
not the document specifying the assignment does not go into any, that part is not at all stressed.
okay, just let me open that. Right. Let me see. Okay, so this is the question statement. Let me zoom in. Okay, so from what I understood is your question is this MAD1 and DBMS are checked. Your question is whether these checked are making sure that okay, this is the students is I mean selected these courses only or what? Is it so? By the way, I'm not mute. Hello.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible.
Hello.
Yeah,
Sir,
hello.
the boxes are checked in the pick, but they are. It is not said that the courses should be pre-populated.
Yeah, that's what
mean,
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So when you update student and this roll number is disabled, right? Right. You because
yes, sir.
we don't want you to change the roll number, but everything else can be changed, right?
But sir, do we have to populate the
When the
previously registered courses like we populate the first name and the last name?
No, I don't think so. Why? Because see, first and last name are just to give you an idea of what courses it is there, right? And even if you go to the student details, in student details, we are able to see what courses it is enrolled in. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
these select courses is to, I mean, you can change this, right? This is there to give the changes.
the question is, when the page loads, should the already selected courses should be shown by default or not is the question.
Yeah, I understood the question. So my what I'm saying is I think that is not required. If you can load the name, see if you click on update student, it should load the name and the last name by itself. But select, I mean, whether the course that for example, the student Abhishek has already taken MAD1 and DBMS, this should be checked or not. But this is something you can decide. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. So,
Yes, sir, one more question, sir. Can we add the border to tables, or do we have to keep it
yeah,
as
design you
it
can
is?
keep anything. Design is something you can do anything, right? So this is, I mean, why we are keeping this screenshot as minimal as possible, because we are more interested in the logic, logic as in the backend part. Not much of front end is evaluated since we have specifically evaluated that. So it is your choice if you want to add any styling, not only table border, anything you want. You can change the font name and anything.
So that go back being slightly to the right, that also is optional.
Go back being slightly right. So see, if you're making some stylings and making it to the left, it will not affect the evaluation.
No, matlab go back, as since it is a whatever element it is goes to it follows the object model, so it will come straight to the left, because matlab it will come one below the other and to the left hand it will be aligned.
Okay.
Sir, even if you use paragraph element, any block element or non-block element, it
Okay.
will align to the left hand. All the
Yeah.
photos, they are slightly not at the left hand.
Okay, fine. Yeah, so that's what. So if it is appearing, it may be due to, it is not due to, we are expecting some styling.
Because since the lab assignment reports are not released, it is very difficult for us to guess what is going on, sir, for week 3 and 4.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So yeah, so don't have to worry about design. You see, if the go home is coming onto the center, right? I mean center with the center. I mean that it is not towards the left of the page. It is coming towards. I mean shifted towards right. Okay. So is this your question, that why is I mean do we have to take care of this shifting and all, is what your question,
yes,
right?
sir, because it is said if you want to use CSS, you can karke likha hua, it is there in the
Yeah, that's what. So
problem statement.
yeah, any styling, it depends on you to what extent you want to go with style. Okay, you can even change font size, give some background, put it in center. Anything that is happening, that will happen with the help of style.css or whatever name you give, .css, right? It does not have anything to do with the code. Okay, only one thing that you have to make sure is the HTML file should not be disturbed. For example, whatever the content of body, right? For example, this is one of the templates which we want you to use as it is, right? So with the ID and stuff. So what is this? This is definitely the content of body, right? In the meta, you can add. So for example, if you want to add some styling, you can add, because you will link it with in the what is this? The head tag.
Sir, in this definition of table, I added border as an attribute. Is it okay?
Inline styling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would suggest you avoid that. So if you want to put that border, create an external file and do that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. So I mean, okay, we are saying that you can use your styling, but please do not, I mean, do not disturb the DOM, the structure of HTML.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
See, ID is
So
there.
your
We
voice
are.
is lost.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello,
sir. You
hello.
are audible, sir.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, so if you may have observed, every table, I mean, every element that we have given as a template has ID. So it is easy for you to target it. Right, select it from the select it from a file which is either which select it from the file which is external, preferably. Okay, so we would not want you to do some changes in the content that comes in the body of HTML.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, any other doubt with respect to lab assignment?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm using like Flask redirect method.
Okay.
So it is showing HTTP 302 error.
Okay, 302 is not error, it is actually status code.
So I just want to know if my application is working fine, but that error is displaying in the terminal. Is it a problem, or I can submit like this only?
Okay. See, first thing, 302 is not error, it is status code. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the thing is, I mean, you are referring to a statement that every
Yes, sir.
statement should give you 200 status code, right? So it is somewhere here. So every statement executed, every URL gone.
Submit instructions.
Okay. Where? Okay, fine.
The like third point. So All
Okay,
endpoint
fine.
must return.
All the endpoint must return 200 as status code.
Status.
Right.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is this in case of success?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you want is, for example, if you're redirecting, so for any reason you're redirecting from one URL to another, you will definitely get 302 as status code, but the URL that you're directing to should give 200 status code.
Okay, sir.
Right.
So
So
that's
yeah, and I guess that is what is happening ideally.
yes, sir. Yes.
Right. So you don't have to worry about it. That is okay. I mean, after 302, you should get 200 is what we meant. Right. So if I guess if you go through again the terminal and you see wherever there is 302, it should be followed by 200.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that is fine. No issues with that.
Okay, sir.
Did we
So
have any-
one more like logic, the courses, update courses. So when we are updating the courses, I am like following logic like deleting all the enrollments and then again adding all the enrollments by form. So so what can be other logic for that? Like it's too repetitive, same thing. So that update table one.
Okay. So okay. Fine. See, the thing is, for example, what will happen if we are selecting multiple courses for a student? The courses selected for the student must be kept will have been kept as a collection, right?
Yes, a list.
List,
A list.
right? So you update the list.
But sir, update list is okay, but we are updating database also, like enrollment table. So
yeah. So how are you storing these values in the database? The courses.
by relations like even dot up like a student dot, like course dot append student. So it is populating enrollment table. So when we ever wanted to update that, so how? Like I am deleting all the update from students and then like again saving them all.
Okay, fine. That is good. Good approach, I guess. No issues with that.
Okay, sir.
So what you're saying is, for example, you have, I mean, you have a student that is registered with two courses, enrolled into two courses, and now you're updating and increasing one of the course. So in that case, it would be okay to simply add the course. Right?
And if we wanted to delete one course and only put one course, then
yeah, that's what. So this your case would take care of that. Is what I'm saying.
okay.
So let's say you initially the student is enrolled to 4 courses, but somehow you want to comes to 2 courses. So you'll anyway have to delete those 2 courses.
Okay, sir.
So it would be better to delete all and then re-register and I mean re-register the database with new courses.
I'm thinking there must be some another approach. So that's thank you, sir.
Yeah. So one approach would be it should check whether the student is enrolled with the same course or not. For example, let's say let us go to the courses. Okay, so here we'll take values, right? So course 1, course 2, course 3, and course 4. So for example, if the student is enrolled in course 1 and course 2, but now you want enrollment in course 1 and course 3. So what it should do, you can write a logic to see whether course 1 is already there. If it is there, it will leave it and it will delete course 2 and add course 3. So only at the end of the day, you're deleting.
Yes.
So
Okay,
I mean, what will happen? The unnecessary delete will not happen, but you will have to write the logic to figure out, okay, these are the courses which are newly, I mean, which has to be replaced, and these are the courses which are not to be replaced.
Okay, got it. So there will be more if and else
That's
conditions.
what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, sir.
All right. Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Sir, was there any session for lab assignment 6?
No, yet. There's not yet.
Sir, will there be an extension for lab assignment 6, sir?
Not sure, man. Can't comment on that.
Please, sir, please see to it, sir.
Okay, fine. See, I cannot make a commitment here. I can just put it, even for week 5. I guess somebody had asked me
Sir,
for extension, but there is hardly anything in my hand in that case.
for
Okay, so I
week
can
5,
just.
I had completed yesterday. So week 5 was not a problem. So I mean,
Mhm.
week 6, if it was on June 15th, we could have do it. So tomorrow is like very close. So.
Okay, fine. I'll see to it. I mean, I can see what I can do.
Extension will help a lot, sir.
Yeah. Getting it. Getting it. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I'll just discuss with the team what can be done. Not sure, cannot comment on this, right? But I'll see what can be done. Yeah, Srinivas.
Sir, can you comment why SQLite does not enforce type? It does not check types very strictly. Is there anything that's something we have looked at?
Okay, can you give me an instance? What is happening where?
Sir, in a table which contains int, you can put a string.
In the table where?
In a table which has, suppose we have table, right? We have a table, you are doing a table, right? Model. Go to that model. Any model.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, just
In
pardon
the
me for the
model
background
that
noise, okay, for 2-3 minutes. Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
the book ID is integer, right? If in the model, yeah, in the class book, the book ID is integer, right?
Yes, book ID is integer.
But if you put a string also, it will go. Nothing, no warning, nothing will come. Sir, I have specified integer, right?
Yeah, correct.
If I put string, if I put whatever is allowed, I can put, nothing will come.
Okay, have you tried that? I have not tried that.
Sir, I have tried and I'm telling you.
Okay. We'll see. I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't tried that, so I don't know. But we'll see. I mean, while creating also this application, we'll see if there it is, right? I mean, what error it is showing. Maybe from that we can understand. I mean, it must be
Sir,
showing some comment.
it won't throw an error itself.
Yeah, that's what, right? Okay, so now it won't throw any error. Okay.
And
Okay.
that day we discussed about that SQLite app.config, right? It is only dependent on the left-hand side part. The right-hand side, you can put anything you want. You don't have to put .SQLite 3 and all, does not make any difference.
So what you're saying is if I remove SQLite 3, how it will create database? What will be the extension? And
it will create, you remove that, you put K1, any number you put, any number between A to Z, 1 to 3 you put, nothing will happen.
Okay.
It is only depend on the LH part. LH part where it is written, that is what is specifying the SQLite, not the RH part.
Okay, fine. All right, so this is something I didn't know. So
and the root part is different for Mac and Windows, and it is very specific. Here you are using relative path, that is why you are not getting an error. But if you are doing it in Linux and Windows, you will get an error if you don't specify the absolute path.
Yeah, okay, fine. All right. Okay, so we'll try to take that also. I mean, the absolute path using OS, and go with that also. You see. Okay, so these are something that okay, we come to know by experimentation only, right? So whatever I tried to explain in the last 2 sessions is something that we have experimented on. There may be so many other things also which we might as well don't know. For example, this I didn't know, right? So we're talking about extensions which I thought have some sense. I mean, should be meaningful, because lighting SQLite 3 should know that okay, this is the database that we're creating. But as you say, it doesn't make any difference. So that is actually something a news to me. Okay,
Sir, and
so
also in this slide, can you explain two things? One is cascade all delete, and one is backref.
okay, cascade and backref. Okay, I'll try to I'm try to explain. Just okay, just give me a minute, because I'm just waiting for this player to
Sir, are you planning to discuss that the links that we are dealing with in update, are you planning on discussing that today?
What links actually?
Actually, those dynamic kind of links, sir. Like let's say student, then inside a bracket we are writing int
These one.
student ID. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. We'll take care of that.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, okay.
We'll take care of that.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so I'll go ahead with this. I mean, creating
What?
application. Okay. If
One
there are
small
no
thing.
more doubts with respect to lab assignments, and if at all, I mean, it will help you. This session might help you with assignment also. So we'll
Sir,
go ahead with
and
this, shall we?
one more last thing, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, if you could just explain in brief what you are going to teach for the next in this session, and then start teaching, sir. Give us a little idea what you are going to teach so that we follow.
I do that, right?
Sir.
If you could just give a brief overview.
Yeah, definitely. See, the thing is, yeah, I mean, initially for the last two sessions, I had the idea of one session to, I mean, clear off and try to explain how relationships work in Flask SQL Alchemy. And the next session, I wanted to dedicate over the application. Okay, now with the term application, what do I mean? What I mean is, so in till now, what did we see? We we wrote some classes, models, created those tables in the database, and how did we interact with them using command line interface, right? So actually, what we were doing, so I know, I mean, I'm sure that you have heard the terms CRUD, right? So CRUD, what do they stand for? Create, read, update, and delete. Now this is for a record in a table. The CRUD operations apply for record in a table, and how you deal with CRUD operations when what should happen is something along with the database is called as along with the database, meaning how these CRUD operations work with the database. I mean, you have to write some code, right? So this code is something that is called as business logic. Okay, now what we have to do, so we on command line interface we saw these CRUD operations, right? But for you and me it is okay. For if there is a person who want to use this models as an application, I mean want to interact with that application on the browser, right? How will he do that? So he will have to, I mean, write all the code. Do you think that would be feasible for any random person to come up and write db.session.commit, right? No, right? That does not make sense. So what we want to do is all these operations to happen with some clicks, right? That is what we have done in Geek5 Lab assignment, if you may have completed it. Okay, so the idea of this session is to create, I mean, to convert this backend or to add a front end to this backend part. Okay, so in this session, we will create an application that will I mean, that will be served on the browser, and the user, any random user, can interact with it. Okay, so that is the idea of the session. Is this clear? Hello, is it clear?
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah, so what we are doing, we will be writing some code. So what I can say in two terms, what I will say, in the last two sessions, we have written models. In this session, we'll write about control. Okay. So that is what we are going to do. And talking about cascade, all delete, and backref. This is this was your doubt, right? So what happens is backref is nothing but it allows you to create this list. I mean this collection. Okay, so you have created this collection. Now, how would you I mean, fill up this collection? So for that, it gives you backref. Okay, there is an option called as backref, and if you see the value section, right? So what does section mean? What it does is backref. Whenever you specify backref with section, it will create a pseudo column in I mean in the table it is related with, right? So what is the table it is related with? From here we are specifying that okay, we are relating to table or class book, right? So just give me a minute. Okay, there is a backend check. Okay, So what we are trying to do, we are trying to fill up this collection with the help of this backref. How are we going to do that? With the help of this section. So what section does it? It becomes a pseudo column in the table or in the class it is related to, right? So here you can consider what backref has done. Backref has just give me a minute. Yeah. So what backref has done? Backref has created a column called as section. Okay. Now I did not explicitly create it, right? This is provided by backref. So that is why I'm calling it as a pseudo column, which is not exactly existing in my class, but it will act as a column, right? So, and how do I fill it? Initially, what I was doing whenever I wanted to provide a section to a book, I was doing it with the help of sect. Okay, and what was the argument, or what was the value it was taking? It was taking integer, and what integer it belonged, what integer that it should consider? The foreign key. Okay, which is the primary key. This means if I want to add a section to the book, or if I want to add a book to a particular section, I need to provide the primary key of the section I want to add. Okay. Backref helps us to deal with that. Okay. Why I want to deal with that? Because I'm not really sure what is the primary key of a particular section. Okay. So here I can simply, so for example, if you want to add a record in the books table, what you will write? You will, I mean, just write the command here. For example, I want to add this book B1. What I will do, I'll write book and then give all the, yeah, then what I'll do, I'll just give all the command. It was, I mean, all the rows that I have, I mean, all the objects that I've created, attributes that I've created for that class. So what is the attribute? Book ID I don't have to worry about, because book ID is something that is primary key. So it is automatically taken. The next thing that I have to deal with is book name. Book name, right? So this is something I'll provide. ABC. Next thing I need to provide as the section that I want this book to go to. Right. So what I'll do, I'll either provide the section and then give the primary key of what section I want. For example, I want this book ABC to go to section 2. Okay, I will provide it this way, right? But let's say I don't know what the section, I mean, I want to add this book ABC to a section, PQR. PQR is a section. PQR is a section which is already brought up as an object S1. Right? PQR is a object. So I'll just write it as like this, just to say that it is an object. Okay, and this is the this is the object that contains PQR as a section. Okay, so here I don't need to know the primary key of that particular section. What I'll do here, I can write section equals to, and then assign it as an object. Now, for me to give section as an as an argument to this book, this section has to be a column, right? It has to become a column, right? But since it is not a column, still I'm using it. How can I do that? With the help of backref. Okay, the only condition backref needs is the attribute, the value to this attribute must be an object. Okay, so I need to know, okay, my PQR book is an object. For example, so how will I get this object? How will I get this? I know that the name of the section is definitely PQR. No point. I mean, there is no change in that. But I am not sure what can be the primary key of that section ID of that particular section. So I can simply call it from the database like section dot query dot filter by okay, and I'm pretty sure about the section name, so I can write section name equals to PQR, right, to be given in the strings. Okay, and since I know I just want only the first one that follows this condition. What is the condition? The filter section name should be PQR. Okay, I can get this this way. I can get a particular section from the object and simply assign that object as a section. Whereas I could not have done that if I had only sect. I cannot assign object to sect, although it is a proper column in the book, right? But section allows me to just assign any object. Now, why object? Because you can retrieve object by any of its attributes. I have retrieved it by section name. You can retrieve it if you definitely knew what the section ID was, right? So that is the case. This is how backref is helpful. Did you get this?
So now the way you have set up this section and book, does it specify any one of the one-to-one, one-to-many, or many-to-one, or many-to-many options?
Yeah, so it is belonging to one-to-many.
So, but if it is one-to-many, you will have a problem, right? Because you already set a sect as a foreign key. So if I add a book, so if I for a section, you said it is a one-to-many. So for a section, if I am adding a book, so I need to know the sect you are saying. When I'm adding a book, I need to know the sect, or will it take it automatically?
No, you have to provide, right? So see, for example, I mean, a section in one-to-many relationship that is applying to our table, section is something that is one. Okay, you cannot have multiple section for single book, but you can have multiple books in one section. Okay, so while creating a section, you need not provide what book it what book it will cover, because that does not make sense, right? One-to-many. It can belong to other, I mean, it can hold other books also. Why do you have to specifically say that my section contains this book? But while creating a book, you will have to specify what section this book, particular book, belongs to, right? And we also have that constraint that a book cannot cannot go into the library sectionless, right? There has to be one section a particular book must belong to.
Sir, and one more doubt, since this pseudo column is already being formed by sect backref, the thing we are doing with sect is like double work, sir, no?
No, I am not providing. See, either I will provide section or I'll provide sect.
No, I'm not saying that. Since there is already backref equal to section, that is creating a pseudo column.
Yeah, I get it. But see, the thing is, backref, how is this happening? How is this books or this collection is getting created? For this, it will definitely need section ID as foreign key. I mean, sect is mandatory to create.
I have my table without that line, third line, but it works properly.
Which one?
Sir, I have my table for a one-to-many. Okay. Even if I don't give that third line for sect, it creates a pseudo column and it will do the same thing, right?
It does. Okay, I'm literally, I'm not sure how that works, because see, how that will work, because see, a relationship, when you want to form a relationship on book.
See, suppose let us take section book, okay? Like in the lab assignments, we will create 4 books.
Okay.
Let us say there are only 4 books in this world and we have created 4 books.
Okay.
For each section, we will add it via section.books. And our relation gets created and we do not need this sect here. We can directly take it from section itself. This column makes it again double work. That is why it will also become a problem, because every time we have to specify section also. Why do we want to get section again and again, query section again and again always? When
but in the database, how will you connect one book to a particular section? Then see, this sect.
Sir, you said it is one-to-many, right? It is not many to one. You did not say, right? Why do you want to connect a book to section? You said one-to-many, right?
No, so see, one-to-many, I mean one section, multiple books.
So one section, multiple books, there is no requirement for that third line.
Okay, how will you say that a particular book belongs to a particular section?
How will you? You can say directly. Sir, because you put that backref, that pseudo column is created on book.
No, this books is actually a connection. I mean collection of all the books that belongs to a particular section. That is just to
suppose let us say book is a table, right?
Which one? Book with capital
The
B,
class
right?
book is table,
Yes,
right?
the class book is table. Yes.
Let us first remove the third line sect. Okay.
Hmm.
Now the situation is we have some books in the table.
Okay.
Which have a pseudo column named section.
Okay.
Understood?
Yeah.
You filter by that pseudo column if you want to directly do it.
Okay.
You understood, sir? You wanted filter by you wanted to filter by you have a table for books. You wanted to filter by a section. That is your query.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So don't take this. Go filter on that pseudo column. I'm saying. You understood what I'm trying to say?
Okay. You're saying that you have to filter by the pseudo column.
You can filter by the pseudo column. I'm saying.
Okay.
So that is what I'm trying to understand. Ki you are putting one more line to the difference between the two.
Okay. So the thing is, see, my understanding is you have to, I mean, the table, I have this table, right? Here, right? So if I want to relate a particular book to a section, which is required, right? Every book has to be related to a section. A book cannot go sectionless. See, if you, I guess, are you sure that it is one-to-many relationship? Because in many-to-many, we don't need. See, if you see here, I am not creating any sect, and there is backref. So in many-to-many, we don't need. Okay, why? Because a book can go sectionless, but in one-to-many, that is not the case.
So we will not. When we want to add suppose we want to add from the book, we want to have a section to a, we want to filter a book table via sections, right? That is our objective. But if we do it this way, we can directly do the way that pseudo column is my understanding. That is what problem is. Together we'll check again and let's see.
No. Okay. Just give me. Okay, just let me know one thing. If you you created a book. Okay. Now you provide section to that. Okay, with this one, the way I've written here, right? Now, how do you make sure that it is written in the database?
How do you make sure it is written in the database?
I mean, see, with my column here, this column, line number 21, give me an idea. Okay, this book is related to this section, right? The primary key. But now that I don't have that column, you're saying that you remove this column and
remove that column. That is why don't do it. Don't add sections here. Add a pseudo column. Don't add a direct column. When you add a pseudo column, you can still filter it. That column will not be visible, but you can still filter it.
Yeah. Okay. Let us okay. I understand that we can filter it with the section. I mean, you're saying this, right? Filter by section equals to whatever it is. Okay, filter by section. Okay, what do you give here?
Not book dot query by book. You have to book dot query dot filter by section.
What do you give in the value of section?
Whichever section ID you want. Section you are querying, right? You are querying, you are the query, right? So PQR, your section, whatever section you are giving, you give one more section, whichever you want.
No. Okay. So what should be the value of this?
Sorry, query you are writing, right? Which section you want, you write that query.
No. I'm not saying. Yeah, I am saying okay. But what will be the value? I mean, is it an object or string or what?
It's a string, sir. It's a string or variable. That is how filter
we'll try to do that. Okay. Let's see what it shows. If it is okay, it is okay. I mean, that is something. If it is something that I have not tried before, I definitely want to know, right? So
from yesterday, I've been trying to get this for 4 or 5 hours. I'm trying to do this only.
Okay, fine, no issues. So let us try in session also. If we get that, I mean, if we are still able to do that, what is wrong? We'll write one less code, right? One less line. So okay, so we definitely do not say that whatever we say is right. Okay, so
No,
if
sir.
there is something we come to know
No.
from the session, that is definitely acceptable.
In this way, if you do for the lab assignment, you'll have a problem because you are giving multiple times. You have to add the section ID also. You have to know what the section ID and add. If you do it directly, it is coming without doing anything. Pseudo column is working.
Okay, pseudo column is working, and okay, but I want to visualize this in the database.
Both the DB viewer, that is not coming. That column is not showing up. But if you are querying, it is coming.
Yeah, it will definitely not show because it is not actually a column, so it will not come even in the D. So if I remove this set and create the database once again, it will not come. Right.
If you're querying in the interpreter, it is coming.
Okay, I'll try that definitely. I'll show. I mean, I'll see what you're trying to say. Maybe I'm missing out on something. But see, my understanding is this relationship is formed on the basis of foreign key, which is important. Okay, if what you're saying is right, we should be able to do that. But my only concern is, I mean, without querying, how should we how should we know that okay, this book belongs to a particular section? Okay, I mean, I get what you're saying. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I get what you're saying. But
Yeah.
the way you add, see, the way I am adding my, suppose I am not adding each book individually. In that section, I am adding a class of books. Matlab, for a section dot books, I will add a book.
Correct.
Which will give me here a pseudo column. You understand? If you try to do it your way, where you are trying book and add, you will have a problem.
Okay.
You add section dot books.
Okay.
And then add a book in that. Because you written it in
section dot books. Okay, I'll just try that. Okay, I'll just try that. Okay, but see, the thing is, okay, so I'll just go with this, whatever we have written.
All this what we are discussing is exactly related to our lab assignment. That is why we are trying to understand.
Yeah, correct. So I'll go with this. Okay, you let me know if there is any issue. Okay, I mean, what redundancy I'm creating in this application. Okay, will that be fine? I mean, see, you don't have to point out specifically. I'm saying that okay, so we'll do something. I mean, with creating an application, we'll use this table only. I mean, this way of method only, what we have created. And then if you can point out where exactly you're saying that you're saying right, you have to also give the backref and also give the section ID and whatever it is.
Because sir, what we'll do is we'll add 3 books and we'll add 3 sections.
Sure.
But you can't do it in your way because you have to give section ID. When you create your book, your section ID is must, right?
No, it is not required. Section ID. Why is it section ID? Where will I give?
Sir, you have to give the section ID, right? When you create a book.
That's what. So I'm saying either I can give sec or I can give section. Either.
Okay. Sir, when you create a, suppose you want to create a book now, how will you create? You have to have section ID, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See, this is what I'm saying. With this will, for example, this B1, no, this will create a book for me. Yeah, this will create a book for me. Just let me write. Yeah, so I have this section S1 retrieve from the database. Okay, and this simply putting a section equals to S1 will create a book for me in that section.
I'm just saying ki just avoid you querying that first S1. Matlab, don't query your book into section and then come here and add section. You can directly do it. That is what the entire point of the discussion is.
Okay. So for example, if I don't have this, and what will be the value here?
You don't have a column, right? Forget everything. Just create your book. Give it a name and close it.
Yeah,
ABC is okay. Just remove everything. That section also remove.
Yeah. So see, if I am not giving any foreign key, my book will be created. No issues with that.
Now you'll also get your pseudo column also. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So the entire point is to get a pseudo column and avoid that section thing which you are doing. So you remove this section, create 3 books, ABC 1, 2, 3, 3 books.
Okay.
But you still want to filter your books by section ID and they should be mandatory. That is the point of this entire discussion. You understood, sir?
I have to filter out my book with
Sir,
section ID.
Suppose you're not, suppose you remove that section wala part.
Yeah, I've removed it. It is commented.
No, in the B1 also, when you're creating a book.
Acha, this one. Okay. All right.
Okay. Now you're creating a book, no issues.
Yeah.
Nothing will work. Okay, you can create 3 books like this.
Yes, I can.
Okay, there will be no issues.
Yeah.
Now what you want to do is, you want to have, since it's a one-to-many relationship, you want to add each section, you want to add many books.
Okay, fine.
That is a one-to-many relation, right? For one section, you want to have many books.
Okay.
So you add this. What you do is you create your section. You create 1, 2 sections, whatever generic sections you have.
Okay, let us create a section here. S1 equals to section name. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, this is my section.
Now you created a section. Okay, don't give that books thing. Now what you do is you add section dot courses dot append, section dot books dot append, S1 dot
Correct, fine. Yeah, I can do that.
Dot append. Now append B1.
Yeah.
Now you will get a pseudo column.
Yes, correct.
This section is linked to this book.
Okay.
But you did not have to specify this, whichever it is. You can do it by multiple books also. You can keep on appending.
Yeah, I can keep on appending. Okay. All right. Next time, if I want to retrieve all the book, how will I retrieve that?
Retrieve all
the books that belongs to a particular section.
Just write S1 dot books. It will come.
Okay. Even after exiting.
Are commit? You have to commit it, right? You can't just leave it like this.
Yeah. So if I commit it, you're saying that a pseudo column is created that will not be visible on the database, and it will have the collection of all the books that is added to S1.
Yes, that is the point. But you can see it in the interpreter. You can't see it on that viewer, but it is available in the interpreter.
Okay, that is what you're saying. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. I haven't tried that. Okay.
Because this entire discussion is how you should do your lab assignment is why we are doing this.
Okay, fine. So if this is something I have not tried it. Okay, so if it is still give me, I mean, not showing in the database, not showing in a relationship, but it is still giving me the books, it is well and good. No issues with that. You can use it.
That is what, since because that backref is also updated, so there is one more method for backref that in the documentation it is updated.
Okay.
And that also we need to slightly take into account because this is the old method, but it works. Basically, the entire discussion is if you understand this discussion, then you can, your lab assignment code will have many fewer lines. Otherwise, you would be doing many things round and round and round. You will be adding, taking this here and then adding there, and you will be doing all that.
Okay, fine. Okay, so we'll try this method. No, we'll try in this method in this in the application that we'll create. Okay, so I'll go with the application. Okay, so we don't need this line is what you're saying, and we don't. So this is something from 27 to 31 is something we'll write in the controller. Sect is something that you're saying we don't need. That's fine. Sure. Okay, fine. So we will go with the same app.py. We'll go with this app.py. Okay. And for this, I will have to create the database in the a new database in the system because we do not want this column, right? So that I'll do. Okay, so I'll start with the controller, right? So what I'll do is, okay, so those who have been following my discussion with, with the student, hey, can I know your name? I just didn't see.
Sir Srinivas.
Okay, yeah. So those who have been following my discussion with Srinivas, I'll just I mean, I hope you have followed. I will not brief it because let us move ahead with this application. Okay, and while coming to that part of application, while writing the controller for that part of application, I'll say what we were talking about. Okay, so I'll just go with the application. All right, so now since this is the models, right? So we have created section models and section model and book model. We will call this file as model. Okay. And studying about MVC, it will be a very good practice to have, separation of concerns, right? Different modules for different parts of your application. Okay. So for example, okay, somebody is asking question. When we click on the link, it is a get method. Yes, by default, it will be a get method. Okay, any link that you create, by default, it will be get method. If you want to go to a link with a particular method, you have to specify that. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just move ahead. So talking about MVC, we go with the different, different modules for different parts of an application. Right. So this, I will call it as models. Right. So what I'll do, I'll just simply rename it. Okay, and I'll call it models. Okay, next time I'm referring to this page where my classes are there, my tables are there, I'll call them as models. Okay, and the part that I want to actually work as an application, which should be called as controller, not definitely required to call it as a controller, and you cannot have application like that. I'll just call it as an application app. Okay, so the app which we had previously has become models because I'm having all the model stuff here, and the module where I will be writing all my controllers. Okay, I'll name it as app because I'll run it as an application. Okay, I'll simply create a new file here. I'll save it. Yeah, so you want it here. It will be app.py. Okay, so we have this app.py. Now the thing is, I need to make some changes so that I import this complete content of model in my app.py. Right. So since I'm using only Flask SQL Alchemy here, I'm not using any application. I'm not running any server here. I don't need Flask this here. Okay, I don't need here. Rather, I'll need it here. So I'll just copy it from there. See. So I need this Flask here. And since I have imported my Flask here, I'll create my app here. Also, Flask. Sorry. Okay. I'm not specifying templates folder because I'll just keep it as templates. Okay, I don't have that folder right now, so I'll just create that folder. File. The new folder. Doesn't show me new folder, right? Okay, anyways, I'll go to this part and create a new folder. Okay, so I'll keep my all the HTML files here. So I'll name it as templates. Let's go back here. Should be available here. Okay. All right. So this is definitely not required now because I'm creating my application there. Okay, and now the problem is we have initially when we have instantiated our application here, we use that app here as an argument for SQL, right? Now we do not have any app here, so we cannot use app here. Definitely it will say app not defined when we run this, right? So we can simply initiate it and use it here. Okay, but for that what I need to do, I need to import everything that I've created here. Okay, so I can simply write from models here. So this is my module name, right? So from models, I will import everything, right? So initially also when we were working with the interpreter, what we were doing from app import everything, right? So that app has been renamed to model. So here also we'll do from models import everything. Now, since the model, everything is imported from model, this DB is also imported. Okay. Now I can create it here. But the thing is, it changes. The way we write it as is changing. Okay. So what we need to do? Yeah. So we have DB. Okay, because it is imported, right? Then we can write init app. Okay, db.init app, and then can provide this. Okay, this is something we can do. And then what happens is when you create this, I mean, when you use this init app, what happens is you need to know, okay, whatever modules that you have, I mean, whatever modules that you have created and imported belongs to an application. So what we call that application is the application context. Okay, application context is where your application will run, your DB is imported, your controllers are imported, and everything is imported. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to push this application what we have created in the application context. Okay, so we need to write app dot app context dot push. Okay, this is just pushing application to application context. Okay, so I know the concept, but I'm not really sure with the syntax. Just let me check it. Okay, I'll just save it here. And this also, because I guess there are no more changes required in this file, so I'll just save it here. Just give me a minute. Okay, so yeah, this is fine. So what we need to do, first we need to init app this way, right? So initially what we were doing, we were having db equals to SQL alchemy, and then we passed it as an argument, right? So here we cannot do that because we do not have any app object created. So that we need to initiate this way, db.init app, and then this app has to be pushed to application context. These two things are required. This is something that we need to do. Now this is just simple configuration of what app must do and how it should behave. I mean, what it should consider as models and everything, what it should consider as DB and everything. Now we'll start off with creating our Flask application, right? So we know that while creating any endpoint, what do? We write app.route, right? So we use this decorator app.route to link it to a particular variable, URL, right? So this is the base URL. This is called as base URL. Right? And then along with this, we also specify what methods we'll be using with this URL or URL, right? So we will be using get. We don't need to mention we are using get, but if we are mentioning other methods, we'll also have to specifically mention that it is get. For example, if I use only like this post, so it will not use get because we have specified the list of methods being only post. Okay, so I need to specifically say that, okay, I'm using get. Okay, now I will not go with the base URL. I will go with some intuitive names for the URL so that we know what we are actually trying to retrieve from the database. Okay, so what I'll do is first let us write a code so that we can retrieve all the sections created. So I'll just write sections. Okay, this is one of the URL. Okay, and then we need to assign it with the normal function. So let us write all sections. Okay, this all section should be able to retrieve all the sections from the database, right? So I can write sections. I can create a variable sections which will have the object. So till now what we were doing, we were doing it from the CLI. Here we will write it as a code, section dot query dot all. So we'll get all the sections that are there in the database. Okay, so before doing everything, all this, before running the application, let me create the database again, because I have made changes in the way the schema of the database, right? Now, initially there was a foreign key, but now there is no foreign key. So I'll have to delete this database. Which one we are using? One-to-many, right? So I'll just delete this database. Okay, I guess it is open here. So I'll have to close it and then we'll delete it. Okay, and then going in the application, we will create the database once again. So I'll just comment this part, because I don't want this sorry, this route to bring the error. So what I'll do from here, I'll go to, just let me activate the virtual environment, env slash oops, always an issue with slash. Yeah, so now the virtual environment is activated. We'll open the Python interpreter. Okay, now from, so currently we will now we will not do that with models, because initially its name was models, right? Sorry, app. So initially, if the name was models, we would have imported everything from model, but half of it is here, right? The configuration and the way DB is instantiated, it is here. So just let me save it. Let me save it and import from here, from app. Okay. Is not defined. Where it is showing this? Okay, fine. So the thing is, since app is not defined here, it will not take from here also, right? So I can take it from here and put it here. Okay, now since app is instantiated here, I'll do all the config and stuff with app here. Save it here. Save this also. Okay, some error. Okay, because this is not application. This is also called as, this is also called app underscore context is also called, and then we have to add push. Yeah, now it is working. Okay, so now we have imported everything from app. Only thing we need to do is create the database. That is the something we'll do from CLI. Rest everything from the controllers. Yeah, so now the database is created. Let me see. Just open this database, and this should be one-to-many. Will not have everything, because anything in it, because it is newly created. Okay, that's it. So that is it we wanted. So I'll exit. I will go back to this place. So here I've got sections, section.query.all. It is what it will be. It will be a list of all the objects of sections, right? So yeah, that's all. This is something that we want, and what we need to do is just simply present them on the template. So what I'll do, return render template, right? So this is something that we have done previously with Flask, right? And then I will also name it as all sections dot html sections, all sections dot html. Now I want to pass this sections, right? So I'll pass it as variable sections equals to sections. And since we are we are rendering this template, two things we need to do. First is to import render template. Okay, second thing is actually to create the template. Right. Close all underscore sections dot scheme. All sections is scheme. Yeah, so I guess in Replit, I have shown you that there is a way of creating the boilerplate, right? So you give this exclamation mark and hit tab or enter, it will give you the boilerplate. Same with Sublime Text. And here we have to just write the HTML and it creates the boilerplate. Okay. If you're not using Sublime Text, that is absolutely okay, because you can either use Replit or Visual Studio Code. So title is, let's say, sections. Okay, and just to see whether we are correctly getting all the section, I'll simply write sections. Okay, now simply writing section will not do the trick. Why? Because this is like a hard coded text. HTML won't understand what this section is. But if I do this, it will understand, okay, you're talking about this sections. Okay, so this has to be part as the passed as double curly braces to understand, okay, this is just simply a placeholder and not a actual text. Okay, so I'll save this, and I'll before saving this, let us try to run this application. Okay, here I'll use the blog if name equals to main, right? I hope you know what this does. Okay, and if that happens, you have to just run the app. And we will also do the debug equals to true, so that we know if there is any issue. Okay. Okay, I think we should go with this. But before doing this, let me add some data into the database, right? Okay. I shouldn't have exited. Okay, fine. At least we'll get something blank. Okay, so I'll just simply try to run Python app.py. Okay, so it is running, and okay. What line 16 actually do? You are talking about app. Okay, fine. So the thing is, see, we will not focus on what it does. Okay, for now, because I can explain you, but it will take some time, and I want to save time. But you just consider this. This line will only execute. This line will only execute if we are in this module app.py. I mean current module. Okay. If I go to some new file, let's say app2.py. Okay. And from here, if I import from app import star, okay, what will happen? Everything from this application will be imported. Correct. Everything from this application will be imported. But, and then if I run this app2.py, what will happen? All these things should happen. And then finally, I've also given app.run command, right? But app will not run. Why it will not run? Because you are running app2.py, not app.py. Okay. So I think I have confused you more. But the thing is, what we do, why we do with this actually? This is done when you want to run some conditions, or when you want to run some part of code, only when you have run this module, this particular module. Okay. If it is still not clear, you forget what this is doing for now. Okay, you got it. That is really good. But if it is still, I mean, some ambiguity is there with what this actually statement does, you don't have to worry about it. You just ignore for now. Okay. Just write app.run. I mean, you should be bothered about this code and then app.run. Okay. So anyway, leave app2 as it is. Let us see. Yeah, so we have run the application, right? We'll just open here in the new tab. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So, okay. So one way of writing is HTTP : localhost. Okay, and then we can use 5000. Okay, if I hit this, it will say no URL found, 404 not found. Why? Because if we go back to application, we'll see that there is nothing linked to the base URL. The URL that we have created links to /sections, right? So for this to work, what I have to do, I have to go back to application and write sections. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it is finding some issue. Do not determine join between parent child relationship section dot books. There are no foreign key linking this table. Okay, so I guess probably my fear that if you create this models, if you create this and you might need this section. This is what I was saying. Okay, so I think this is required when you want to create backref. When you want to in one-to-many relationships specifically, if you want to create this db.relationship, you need to have foreign key. Okay, so I think that is required, which was my fear, right? So that was my doubt. How will you link if you are using db.relationship and not linking it? Okay, so what it is saying, there are no foreign keys linking this table. Foreign key is required. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll go back to database. We'll go back to this code and we'll save this. Okay, let us save this. Now the schema of the table changes. So what we need to do, we need to create delete this table. So for that, we need this database to be closed from here. Go back to Sublime Text and delete this file. So with that done, lot of error, I guess. We'll close this, and when you open Python interpreter and create the database once again. Okay, so it will be from app import start. Okay, so we imported everything, and we'll do db dot create underscore all. Okay, now my db is created and it should have sorry, let me open the database. Yeah, so it should have this set column. Anyway, and now since my interpreter is already open, let me add 1 or 2 sections and books so that I can see if it is coming. Okay, so if it is section 1, it will be section name, geography. So while creating section, I don't have to really worry about any other field. Just add this. I'll create another section, physics, and name it as S2 because I don't want to overwrite S1. So 2 sections created. Let us create 2 books. Book name equals to let me write planets. Okay, and while creating the book in one-to-many relation, I'll have to specify what section it belongs to. So here, if you see section, I can write object S1. Okay, so I'll yeah, and again I'll create another book name, give it to the other section and change the name. So it is physics. Let me put laws of motion. Okay, as B2. Then we'll have to add this to the session and use add all. So add all takes list, right? So it is S1, S2, B1, B2. Okay. Then we'll do db dot session dot commit. So now it is committed in the database. So refresh, and we have this field. Okay. All right. So now this is done. We have something in the interpreter. We will exit. Okay, and then we can write Python app.py. Yeah. So now that we have put foreign key and everything stuff, we are able to get the get all the sections that we have created, right? The only thing is now that we are able to get the sections, we can put the designing later. My idea was to get the session and put it on the screen. Okay. Let us go back and do the same for books. Okay. We'll go back to m.py and then create another route for books. App.route. Similarly, we'll do for slash books. Okay, and for this case, right? For this case, method is not actually important because we are not using other method. We are using only get, right? I just mentioned because it is a good practice to mention. A route should be created like this only. You specify methods even if you don't need to. It is a good practice because we might understand, okay, what is actually happening. Okay, so similarly, we can get all the books. Same thing I'll do. So I'll just copy the code to save some time. Okay, the only thing is I need to change. Now what I'll do is press Control. So if you see, I have 4 cursors now. Okay. I can write a new book. So what I've done, changed all the variables at once. Here also I missed this, otherwise I would have changed this also. Okay, so with this we'll have we'll have to create one more HTML file. Save it as all books, right? Same thing we'll do. Okay, so let me check the if it is working fine. This is books. Yeah, so the problem is this book, right? It will be capital B. So you have to make sure what are you querying. So querying is to be done to the class, not the table. So it has to be capital books. Okay, with this, open this terminal and see. Okay, this the server can crash anyway because you are making changes and then it keeps on running, right? So it keeps on running once, even if a small change is done. So if it is creating an error, it will definitely crash. So you don't have to worry about this. Let's see if it is okay. It is again showing that error. This means some issue is there. Yeah. So when copy paste, what is this? Okay, fine. I guess that cursor got copied there also, and it was showing the error here. Books equals to book.query.all. So while copy pasting, some issue with indentations happen. Right. So the problem is we did not create the function, right? So if def all underscore books, and if I do that, it will give me the proper. It should give me the proper indentation. Chat. Yeah. Okay. Bracket not closed. Which bracket? Probably I corrected that. Okay. Let's see. It's working now. we have this sections, we will have books. Yeah, so we are able to retrieve the books also. Okay, fine. Now I will go back to the templates section equals to this and just give some styling, right? So I will just say I will write something in H2. You can say this is section. This is section. Oh, sorry. So we are retrieving all the sections, right? Sections available are. So it will just write sections available are, and I just have to write. I mean, give the sections one by one. So what I'll use. So sections is list, right? So we have to iterate through this list and give the section one by one. So we can use that for using the conditional block of Jinja, right? So we can do that. Okay, we use for section in sections. Sorry, don't have to give this. For section in sections, what we need to really print is the name of the sections, right? So here, if you see, I mean, what we were getting afterwards, these are not the name, right? Actually, these are the objects that we can see as a list. These are the list of objects. The way we want the object to show up is they show the name of the objects also. But that is not really what we want to print. We want the actual name of for that particular object to get printed, right? So here I will say just print section dot section name. This is what you have to print. Okay, I'll remove this. Now what I'll do, I just want this to be, I mean, it should come as a part of list or ordered list. So what I can do, I can create ordered list. Ordered list. Okay, ordered list starting here, ending here. And every part of list is the element of list. So item of list, what we got. Sorry. Right. Okay, now in this in Jinja, what we need to do is also end the for if we have started. Yeah. Yeah, so now it is making more proper visibility that okay, we are putting sections and the sections available are like this. Same thing we'll do with the books. So okay, I won't do copy pasting this time. I'll just write a lot of things I have to write this in. So I'll write again, use H2 and write all books available, and then again run for first create OL and then write the for statement of Jinja. For book in books, what I have to print book dot book name, right? And so you don't need this. Planets, laws, and motion. Okay, why? Because they're coming in one line, because we have not given any list item. We have not specified the list item, right? So we have to do this list item. Now it makes sense. Okay, so we have created two pages that retrieves all the books and all the sections from the database, right? Any doubt till here?
Sir, if query all is empty, what will happen, sir?
If query all is empty, I guess it will give a empty list. It will give you an empty list. Okay, and then I guess the for loop will show error because again you are iterating through an empty list, so that can be issue.
Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. So these are the two control. So what we call these are controllers. What are each doing? What a controller does, every controller is defined by its URL. So whenever this URL is hit, all this function will be called. Okay. And then whatever happens in the function, whatever is there in the function, it gets executed. This is what we have to take care of. Now, what we need to do is, so now what we need to do is we need to, if I go back to my, if I go back to this, so what is happening here in the section, what should happen? Every section should be clickable, right? So if I click on geography, I should get all the books that are related to geography, right? Create some unused tabs, I guess. So it shows that sections available are geography and physics. So if I click on geography, it should go to, it should take me to another page where it will show all the books that belong to section geography, right? So that is something that will go to, that will try to do now. Okay, so it will definitely take another controller for us to do that, right? So it is app dot route. Okay, so this will be slash. So here what I want is, I want that my URL should go with the section. It should take section ID, and then it should show all the books. Okay, but this section ID, this is hard coded, right? So the way this is slash books, I'll have to write slash books to get to books. For section ID, this is not a variable. Okay, this is a hard coded URL. To make this a variable, what I have to do, I'll have to write this. Two angle brackets have to be given. So it says that, okay, you're talking about the section ID. Okay, and every time I click on the book, on the section, for example, if I click on geography, after clicking, I should be redirected to something like this. For example, we know that geography has section ID 1, right? So what are the URL we're talking about? Section ID. So it should, direct me to something like this. Right? If I click on geography, this should be called. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Then only we'll be able to retrieve all the books that particularly belong to geography and list them. Right? Is this clear? Now this is, now we will see how to do that. Okay, so for that we will, create a new HTML template, because that is what we need. We want to get rendered, right? So we'll create a template to file. So somebody initially was having doubt on how to deal with how to deal with this kind of URLs, right? So I hope if you're there in the session, you can have a look. Okay, so I'll save it first. It will be section underscore books. Okay,
Sir,
so it is,
if we put an int before it, it will filter the integer part, right? In the
where
section,
exactly?
before the section ID, sir.
Here, yes.
Okay.
So so okay, so I can write int if I want to filter integer. Okay, otherwise I can write string. Remember, I have to write string completely, not str, right? It is not the Python one, it is the Flask one. Okay, then only it will understand, okay, you're talking about string variable. These are called as converters. Okay, or then there is something called as path also. So you don't have to worry about this. Just let's say int. Okay. So what happens? It should take int 1 and then the books. Okay, books remains, hard coded. You don't need to write specific to a particular section. Books are books. Okay, but it should take that section. Okay. So I will go to my code. The all section, right? All section. No, books section, books. Here I will create another HTML file. Okay. Here I'll write books for. So here what I want, the title should come. So if you have observed, whenever I go to a page, you see this, right? This is, sorry, this whatever is written here is actually the title of the page. Okay, which we mention here. So what I want, whenever I go to a particular section, for example, if I click on geography, the title should be books for geography, right? So again, if I want to make this thing as dynamic, I'll have to put Jinja, right? Books for geography. So I don't have to worry about what to come there. I'll just show you later on. Okay, now in the body, what I should I should get all the books that belong to geography, and then I need to list them. Okay, so here I will again write h2. Sorry. Okay, then I'll write books for section, and then I'll have the section name also here. It should print. It should come as a web page, as a part of web page. Books for section this. Okay, and then again I'll use that list item. Ordered list, and then give everything as a list item. Again, I'll have to iterate through the list that I'm retrieving for particular particular section, right? So I'll write for, sorry, I'll just use the Jinja for book in. Okay, so I don't know what to put here because I don't know what I'm passing from that particular URL, right? So I'll leave it as is. Then everything should come as a part of item of that list item. Okay, it should be book underscore name. Okay. All right. Now the thing is, I want these sections to actually become the clickable links, right? So instead of simply writing them as these codes, what I'll write, I'll make them link. Okay, I'll make them link. So what I'll do, I'll just put link or anchor tag, right? I'll use anchor tag. Let me give a space and then I go. Yeah, so anchor tag, right? And then this should come here. Okay, and then anchor, the list item should be outside anchor tag. Okay, you have to know every every item should be a link. So it the anchor tag should be what we say, cascaded between the link list item. Okay, so this is how we write this, and then here this is something we want to be displayed, right? So I'll just write here section name. Sorry, not here. Here. Section name. The only thing is we don't know what to put here. The thing is we know what link should appear. What it should appear, something like this, right? 1 and then / books. So I can take care of it like that. So it should be like this, / something should come here, and then it should be / books, right? So what should come here? The section ID, right? The section ID should come here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll write section dot section ID, because I have this object. So since I have the object, I can access to all the attributes of that object. All the fields of that object. What are the fields? Section ID, section name, right? So section ID. Okay, now whatever I'm writing here is actually a hard code, right? So I need to make it dynamic. Everything you want to make dynamic, just put it like this. So what will happen? Just see what will happen. Okay, so if I go back to this page and write sections. Yeah, so I see that they become links. Okay, now if I click on links, what is happening here? One, books. So I knew that it will take one as the ID. It should take one as the ID. I have not given anything to come up when this link is hit, but I'm able to successfully get the link. Is this clear? I mean, how to get the links and dynamic links here? I mean, I'm not sure if the if the learner is still there who asked this doubt to use the dynamic links, but you can watch it later. But I hope this is clear.
Yes.
Is it clear, right? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Up till now, it's clear, sir.
Okay. Now you need to make sure what will happen. So what you have done, you have made the link dynamic, right? This. So if you go back and see, if you click on physics, you see, okay, 2, right? So you are clicking on some text and you're making sure that, okay, that ID is retrieved. Okay, now how should I use this 2? This is the distinctive part, right? On the entire link, this is something I can make use of. So what I've done that, for that, I've gone back to application and I know, okay, something, I know the link, and now I have to link something to, link something, some data or some information with that particular URL, right? So the way it is done is this. Okay, now I can write a function for that. So let's say, here, let's say I'll write section books, sec underscore books. Okay, now the thing is, to use this as a variable. So for example, if you are creating a function, okay, now if you want to pass some argument, if you want some argument that is variable in the function, right? Some variable is taken in the function which you are providing dynamically. For example, if you have created a sum function, normal Python, right? If you created a sum function and you want to add now 2 numbers which you provide by yourself, what you will do, you will take them as the arguments, right? So same thing what we are doing here. So this section ID should be given here as an argument. So what it will do, it will go to that route and retrieve this part of the URL, which is what we wanted. It should retrieve this part of the URL. Forget what is happening here, right? This is common to everything. This is common to application, right? The URLs that we are defining begin from /. Okay. So what is here? Int section ID, right? This is what we wanted to retrieve because this is something which is distinct for every URL. For URL of this type. Okay. So what I'll do, I will use this. If I want to use some part of the URL, I will target that where it comes and then create it as a variable, which is called as converter. And then whatever variable is coming to the URL is passed to the function as an argument. That's it, that we need to use. Okay. Now this simple section ID can be used as a variable, right? So what I can do, I can retrieve that section, or what I can do, I can retrieve that section. Let me first retrieve that section. How will I do that? Section dot query dot. Now note that section ID is actually the primary key. So if I have primary key, I can use get. Right. So if this is, if 2 is coming here, it will get section dot query dot get 2. Once I get the object here, what I need to find all the books that belong to that object, right? So I can simply create a list, books. Okay, books equals to. Now there are 2 ways. Either I can query books and filter by section, this one, right? I'll show you. Let's say I'm writing a book dot query dot filter by. Okay, and then I know that every book in the table has this record, this column, right? Sect, which actually consists of the primary key, the section ID, right? So what I can do, filter by sect equals to what I need to provide, s1 dot section id. Remember, direct section id will not work, right? It has to be referred with the help of object. Okay. Or here directly section id can also work. Why? Because I've taken it as a variable. Right? I've taken it as a variable. Right? So in that case, I don't need to even write this. I don't need to retrieve as a section also. Okay, but since I've done that, I'll make use of it. Okay, so this is one way, and I need to retrieve all the books, right? So dot all. Okay, so even if I don't have this, I can make use of this section ID from this variable and create, bring all the books that belong to that particular section ID. Yeah, I can use S1. I'll show you how. Another way of doing this is, sorry. Yeah, just I'll use this copy, paste. So these are, I'm just telling you, ways in which you can retrieve books of that particular section. Okay, so this is books. So here I've just directly used section ID because I know there is one column in books that has sec. Another way of doing it is filter by s1 dot section ID. This will also work, right? Because now that I've created object, I can do s1 dot section ID. There is another way. The other way would be to go back to the models and see this collection that we have created, right? So since we have created this collection, what we can do, here, okay, where is our app? Here. What we can do, we can create an create a variable books and simply write s1 dot books. Okay, so this books is actually the extra parameter that we have created there. Okay, so these are the three ways. There can be again one more way. I have taken sect, right? I can use section name also, right? So either way is, there can be so many ways in get but for this and for this I need to have s1. Okay, so if I'm writing s1, line number 25 is valid, line number 26 is valid. But if I'm not writing s1, I can use it with line number 24 also, because I can directly use section ID because I know there is a column name sect. Okay, it's up to you how you want to retrieve. I've given you multiple ways. Okay, so let me just use one liner. Okay, I'll just use this. Okay, books dot query dot filter sect equal to section ID. So once this is filtered, I just need to return and render the template.
Sir?
Yes.
Here the section ID name which we are using, the variable which we are using as an argument, that should be named exactly, right?
Yes. This has to be copied and pasted here.
Okay, sir.
Right? That is because, see, you are mentioning, see, this is like a declaration of a variable in Flask, right? Okay. Declaration of converter. So if you are declaring a variable in a way, you have to use that variable in the same way, right?
Okay. And it is like the variable will come, but it will the value inside it it will get converted into integer.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Right. If by any chance you forget this int, what you can do is just this. One more, right? Because sec is definitely an integer. Okay. So by if any chance if you forget this, but I hope in integer generally we don't forget, because everything, see, there can be only two ways we are taking, two values that we are taking in URL. Either it is integer or it is string. Okay.
Yes.
So just pay attention to that detail. Otherwise everything will work out. Okay. Now I need to render this. What was the new section? Books. HTML. Since I've created HTML, I need to provide, right? So this was the variable I was waiting for. Okay, so this is books equals to books. Okay, now I'll use it in my section books. So books for. Now here I need section. Okay, for this one and for this one I need section. So here I can, along with that book, I can also pass section. Okay, I can also pass the section. Now if for the section to get passed, I will have to, I mean, uncomment this, right? I need the section. Okay, so I'll write s1 equals to, and if I see here, I just need section name, right? I don't need anything else. So I can write s1, or I can write s underscore name, any variable, right? This is just variable I'm saying, but I can write section name. Okay, this is something that I'm passing, and same thing I'll use here. But what I'll use s name, because I've taken care of the name of object in the code itself. So it will be s name here and s name here. Okay, and this one, so for book in what books, this is what we have passed from there, right? I guess this will work. Now since I've created the for, I have to end it. Okay, and then I guess this will be sufficient. Okay, so what we are actually doing in this URL, we are taking the URL, and very important, I mean, this is again not important. Why? Because we are not using any other method rather than the get, right? So methods not defined here will still work. So let me see here. I mean, is my, yeah, so it is still working, right? So I mean, the server is still okay. So I'll go back. This is section. If I click on geography, it should give me books that belong to geography, right? If you see here, it is taking one, and now we are taking care of that particular section, right? The books for section geography. This is printing dynamically. This is retrieved and printed dynamically, right? So this is how we create section. I mean, specific to that. I mean, create a page that shows books specific to a section. If you go back and go for physics, it will show laws of motion, right? So we are taken care of dynamic URL also. Okay, now that I mean, any problems here till here? Is this clear?
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, like it is quite clear, and like I have to, I general doubt regarding this.
Okay.
Can't we use the raw SQL queries to do all this stuff, like we are using specific get and all those functions?
Oh, so see, the thing is, raw SQL query that you're performing is specific to CLI, or I mean the interface that you're using. How will you put this? I mean, how will you put what you are getting from the database to a particular web page? How will you link that?
So we will basically, whatever the data we are getting from raw SQL queries, what we can do is store in dictionary or maybe in list, and then using that we can basically use it.
So what you are saying is rather, I mean, why are we using Flask SQL?
No, I'm not questioning why we are using it.
Not about questioning. I'm just saying, can I retrieve the data the way I want using raw SQL queries, and then use the controllers for getting all those data on the web page, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. No issues with that. You can write the raw SQL queries and do that. Okay. One of the see, there are some advantages and some disadvantages. Okay, so raw, I mean, if you are okay with, I mean, if you're good with SQL and not that good with Python, where it is a good idea to go with raw SQL queries, because therein you will have to write proper queries. Okay, but someone who is not very good with queries, okay, can take the help of this Python code. One thing. Second thing, here the configuration matters, right? So we are using SQLite database, and we are not really concerned what I mean, how the queries are written in SQLite. Okay, for example, if my queries, I mean, my database changed to MySQL or Oracle, some other database, and if there is a change in query or I mean, there is a change in the syntax, the way queries are written, or the way the data is retrieved from the database, I will have to make those changes in the code. I mean, nothing can be hard coded, right? So the queries that you are writing will largely depend on what database you are using. Okay, here that is not the case. If my database changed to MySQL, I just simply need to use, I mean, change this line. I don't have to worry about what is happening later. You're getting this?
Yeah.
So that is one of the advantage, and that we feel is, I mean, having an upper hand rather than being able to write SQL query.
And I have another doubt. Like,
Yes,
do we have any method of scaffolding this basically database table into class? Like we are doing it manually right here, but in certain frameworks like in .NET, I can say there is a scaffolding command which we use basically to convert scaffold, and that will create a model folders for us. Is it a similar thing we can do here?
possibly you can do, not that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
the thing is, Flask is literally very vast. I mean, we call it a micro framework, but it is in no way micro, right? So there can be a method where we do that, and I guess I'm not sure. What you're saying as scaffolding is actually creating a structure of models and things, right?
Yeah.
Similar, there is something called as blueprints in Flask. Okay, so that will also help you create in the way these controllers are created and the way it is linked to database. Okay, I mean, what blueprints does is what I'm saying. How, if it is directly in relation with or directly analogous to the scaffold you're saying, is I'm not sure, but what you are trying to suggest is the same thing, right? So blueprints does that. Okay, so there can be so many things that I am myself not aware of. I mean, I can have one way of going through it, right? One way of telling you this is how it is done, but that the only way is not something that I would say.
Okay. Because in certainly, like when we are doing the production thing, because I'm a working professional somewhere.
Okay.
So when we are doing these things, so we generally create layers out of, like we use entity like data access layer, then we create like service layer, and then presentation layer. Like we work on those things, but we are here, we are not seeing that. We are we are not creating any layers, and we are just directly using everything.
Okay, so some kind of structure is what you're saying. That's what, yeah. So I feel, I mean, I think what your answer can be blueprints, Flask blueprints, right? So you just go through it, you see if you find any similarity.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, you're saying that you're separating your application into different parts and layers, right?
Yeah.
So that's what a smaller version of that I have done here, right? I have separated my database classes with my actual controllers.
Yeah, and then we basically create APIs and all the stuff.
API will come. I mean, once, I mean, you are already in week 6. I guess you have the idea that we will deal with APIs and how they're created. In the coming Solve with Instructor session, what I'll do is I'll take this app ahead. What we are doing here in the controller will be done with the help of APIs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that will do in the coming sessions. Right, so we'll create APIs, see them on the UI and stuff, and then load these APIs in the application and show the same data.
Yeah,
that
will be easy. That will be easy actually.
Correct. We'll do that.
Okay.
So I mean, the way I have followed this is I've started from basic HTML to this point, right? So I just wanted to, I don't want to add anything new from abruptly. Okay, although we are in week 6, we have dealt with API and questions on that. As far as Solve with Instructor is concerned, we are still at the model part. Okay, so with this, we are, so if you see, we are, the way these controllers are created, we are actually working on the server side, right? The backend. Right. The way we are creating HTML is what we call the front end. And now we are also done with the model. So we have completed all the 3 aspects of MVC. Okay. Now what is additional? APIs. So that will come in the next sessions of Solve with Instructor. Right.
Fine.
Okay, fine. So I'll move ahead, right? So here, although we are ahead of time, just give me some time. Okay, I'll get 1 or 2 controllers more, and then we'll have a complete look of the application mostly. So now that I am here and I can see what have we done? I mean, what are the operations that we are able to figure out? So what are the operations we have? We have been able to read all the books, read all the sections, and read books particular. I mean, to a particular section. We haven't been able to. I mean, with the application, we haven't been able to create a section and create a book. So that is what we are going to do. Okay. So the I mean, what my idea is, what I'll do here in all the sections available, we'll create a link which will allow us to add a section to the database, right? And if I click on, let's say, geography, here we will have again a link which will add a book in the section geography by itself, right? So it will be, I mean, anyway, while creating a book, we'll have to provide the section, right? So we will make sure that if we are creating a book in a particular section, it gets created in that particular section only in the database also, right? So that is what we'll try to do. So these are the two things we'll do. That is creation, right? So from the CRUD, CRUD, we have been able to do only the read part, but we now will be able to do, I mean, we'll try to do the create part. Okay. This is where the real sense, I mean, the real use of application comes in. How? Because what I have been doing is simply hovering to some other, I mean, some of the other HTML pages, which shows some data, right? Now I want to put in some data, right? Because I want to use, I mean, I want to create a book. Creating a book should be done by me. So I am putting some data inside the application. And this is where my web app is acting as an interface rather than the CLI, which we were talking about a lot lately, right? So now we want to put in the data with the help of web, and how we do that generally with the help of forms, right? So that is what we are going to do. We'll create two forms, one here in this page and other here on this page, right? We'll go ahead with that. So one form is created in all sections, right? So I just have a link here. Okay, and it will just show me create a section. Okay, and here I should be able to go to a link which will ask me to create a section. So I'll just write create. Okay, create / section. This can be hard coded. I don't need to worry about it a lot. I'll take care of this URL in the backend. So I'll go back to backend and I'll create another route. Okay, this should be same as what I want to hit whenever I go to this part, right? So it will be / create / section, right? I guess this is the URL that I've used. All sections, create section. Okay. Now what should happen? What should happen if I click on this create section? It should take me to a form. I mean, I need to send a GET request for a form. Okay, and in the same form, I will be putting in information. So I need to have, I mean, a post request for that particular form, right? A post request for that particular form. So what I'll do, I'll just go back to, I'll go back to application, and I will now here mentioning methods become important because I'll be using both the methods, right? So it will be get and post because I will be retrieving the data in the form of form, HTML form through get and putting in data in the same form with the help of post, right? So I'll just write def create, will not create underscore, sorry, section. Okay, and then we will write return, sorry, render template. Okay, create underscore section dot HTML. Okay, so we'll go back and create this new form. Sorry, new page, HTML file, create section, create underscore section dot HTML. Create section. And I'll take only one thing from the section, because while creating section, I just need section name, right? So this form will give me only one thing, that is section name. Form. Okay, so I need two things here. One is input. Okay, and then there is one thing that I always link with an input is the label. Okay. All right. So what I need to write, label for. What I'll do here in input, I'll write the name. I'll give an ID. Okay, my ID should be anything, section. And this for the whatever is ID, that has to be written. Section, and then here enter section name. Okay, then I'll just write s name as name. Okay, and the type is text. Okay, this is what I want. That's it. Inform, right? And then the other thing should be submit, right? Input type should be submit. You don't need any name for this. What we need is value. So value, I'll just say add section. Right, and now in form there are two important things. One is action. Whenever you click on submit, what should happen? That should be written as action. And generally, when you click on submit, whenever I click on submit, I should hit some URL. That's it. That is the action. I should hit some URL. What should be that URL? The same URL I'm creating here. Here, same URL. So it should be in / create section. Now, what is different here? No, we don't need to give comma. Okay, what is different? We are having same URL, get method, some create section HTML is getting rendered. But what should happen when I click on submit? It should go to this URL, same URL it is doing, but it is going with another method. What is the method? It should be post. Because when I do it with a post, my information should go with the form as the form data, right? So I'll just give the method post. So there are two attributes with the associated with the form, action and method, right? Generally, this method is post. Generally, because generally what we do is the data that we put should go to the server in the form of post request. This is what we want. Right, so generally this method is post and the action is URL. What URL to hit? Okay, now I'll take care of this URL. When this URL here in the backend. Okay, so what should happen? Whenever, in general, when I hit this URL, it should go with. It will definitely go with get method in general. Okay, but what will happen? What should happen if I hit the same URL but with another method? That I have to specify here. Okay. How do I do that? I'll use if statement. So then there is something called as request. Right? So request dot method, and then what it should be post. If the URL is hit with the method post, then what I have to do? Then I have to add the form data, and add a section to the database. Right. So first, what section I have to, what things I have to add from the database, I'll take from the form, right? So what is the name, what is the thing that I added? S name, right? So I'll just write it same here, S name equals to, then request dot form dot get. And here in the get method, what comes is the name of that particular attribute, what I am taking. Okay, so it is s underscore name, obviously as a string. So the name that I'm putting in enter your section whatever will come as a variable here. Okay, now what I have to do with this variable, I'll have to add it to the database. How will I do that?
Sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah.
this variable name should be different, or they could be like they could be different, right?
Here
As name, yeah,
it can be different. Sec name.
okay. But that should be the name which we are using.
Yeah, whatever you put here should be the value of name.
Okay.
Then only it will be able to map, right, what you have taken into a variable. So this is form data getting mapped as a variable in Python is what we are doing. Right? Clear? This is your random variable name. Anything you can. Okay. Now what I want to do, so what I want to do, I need to add this. I need to take a section name and add it to the database. For that, I'll first create an object. Right? How do I add? How do I create an object section? I know that there is a attribute called as section name, and I'll put this name here, sec name. Okay, this is all I require, right, for creating a section. Then what I need to do, I need to add this name to, add this object to the session. The way we are doing in CLI. Okay, this should happen. Okay, db.session.commit. Once we are done with this, I should go back to. One thing I can do, I can render template all sections one, right? I can render the template which shows me all the sections. Okay, or I can go back to this URL. Which one? All sections URL, right? But going to a URL, I need to use a method called as redirect. Okay, so this commit is a method. Then I'll use return. Okay, and then I'll use a redirect. If I want to go back to, if I'm done with something, so what will happen? I will hit this URL. Some things are done. Then once my job is done with this URL, I want to go to another URL. So for that, we use redirect. Okay, initially what we're doing something with when this URL is hit, and then we were rendering something. Here, since we have already taken care of render stuff, we will go to that URL directly, right? So this redirect will have we'll take the URL, return redirect. So once this is done, we'll go back to rendering the sections. Okay, so if you see, if the method is not post, directly it will get me to the form. If I go to the form, then same URL will be hit, but then if condition gets true, and also I'm not assigning, I'm checking, right? So I'll give equals to equals to.
Sir, in line number 3, it should be sec name, no?
Yeah, correct. Sec name. I just saw that. It should be sec name. Okay, so I have created object and committed it. Let's see. This also. I need to save this also. Sections, save this also. Okay. So is the server running? Yeah. Back. Reload this. Yeah. So I get a new link to create sections. If I go here, okay, yeah, some small mistakes we have done here. So we have used, we'll go to app.py. I've used request.method, request.form, and I have not imported it. Similarly, I've used redirect and I have not imported it. So I will have to import those. Request, redirect. I think this I might have crashed the server. Okay, no. So we'll go back and create a section. Yeah. So now I'll be able to. I see that I can add a section. Okay. So if I write the mathematics, add a section, I'll be redirected, and then all the, I'll be redirected, and again those things will be rendered. So I can see that, okay, my section got added. Okay, same thing may have happened in the database also. That is why we are able to see that, right? So same thing. So whatever we have done in the CLI, that we have taken care of as this thing, right? As a controller. Same thing we'll do for a book. The only additional part for book is, we also have to take care of what section we are adding it to, right? What section we are adding it to. So, so what I generally do is I generally create a URL and then work on that. So let us create a URL. Okay, am.route. So what we are doing, we are creating a book. Okay, but we also need to take care of what section it goes to, right? So here I will write section ID. Right. So what should happen? What should happen if I go to this geography? This again, this books. I will have a page which will add me. I will have a page which will allow. Sorry, here I will have a link. The way I have it here, a link. Create a book like that. So here I'll have a link. Create a book. Okay. If I click on book, what should happen? It should take me to the form, and once I add the name of book and add it, click on submit or whatever value I give it to that submit button, it should add the same book in this section. So let us try to take care of that. Okay, so here, so here we will write the function if create underscore book. Okay, and since we have written this, okay, we have to also end the angle bracket. So since we have written this, we have to put it here. Section ID, we can use this, right? Section ID is used. Okay. So initially what it should do, it should give me a form, right? So I'll just write a return and render template. Should be create book .html. Okay. I have to create a file here. Create book.html. This is the name. Create underscore book.html. Okay, I'll take the create section form, copy it. All right, so what is the URL we're taking care of now? Create book integer section ID. Yeah, create book, and then we need the section ID. But the thing is, this is HTML, right? And in HTML we use Jinja. So we'll write here as, so we'll have to pass some variable here. Let's see what we have to pass here. So in create book, this is the HTML we are taking care of, and then we can go back to app.py and we'll use this section ID. Right? So index.html section ID equals to section ID. Okay, section ID equals to section ID, and then in this HTML we will take we'll write use this as the variable section ID. Okay, so when I click on submit, this will run as create book and then it will take the section ID. Okay, but all right, so am I doing something wrong here? Yeah, one thing, what I'm doing here, this create section.html is simply the HTML form. For example, let us go back to application and yeah, so this create section. But create section, if I add section, it should go to create book with that ID, right? So we're taking care of ID there. But in the form, yeah, we need in the form, we want whenever I hit submit, I want the same link to go with the section ID. So I need this, right? Yeah, so I need this. So I can write this and then here in create book, this is also required. So create book and then we have section ID. Okay, fine. Let's see how it works. Let's save this and save this. So if I go to a section and okay. Yeah, and a link to this has to be provided, right? So I'll go back to what is this? This is books, one books. So we'll go to the HTML file for that. What does it render? So I'll go to, this app. Yeah, what it renders? Section books. So I'll go to section books. Yeah, section for this books. And here below, I want to write an anchor tag, right? So here I'll write add a, or yeah, add a book. Let's say add a book to make sure that the book gets added to the same section. Okay, and then I have to go to that form. So is that form? This form. This is what I want. Section books here. But it is create book, and what do we actually want? It should take the section ID. So we don't need this. We want the ginger. So whenever I click on add a book, it should show me form, right? With that ID already taken. So we have book for section, book and books for S name. We do not have section, right? So what we'll do, we'll make some change here. So here we were only passing the S name, right? We were only passing S name. What I'll do is I'll just simply remove S1. I remove the name. Instead of passing the name, I'll pass the object and take care of its attribute there. S1 equals to S1, and then I'll go back to create section. There is a section books. This is what we are rendering, and this is what we want, right? So it is be S1 dot section name. Okay, and here S1 dot section ID. Right. So initially I was taking only section name, but that was not helpful because I also wanted the section name, right? Section ID. So instead I took the entire object and then took care of each attribute once again. Section dot section name. Right. Here. Go back to application. Go back. So if I go to geography, okay, S1 undefined. Okay, some error. Where are we facing this error? Here. Okay, because I did not save it. Yeah, so now I got a link. So if I now please note the link, right? So if I load the link, what it says, create book and one. What I've done add book. Where was it added? Geography. Geography was one, right? So if I create on mathematics, what it will do? And if I click on add a book, it says create book 3, right? So if I click on this, I will just add a book, because I just not, I mean, I have not changed the HTML content, so it will still show section name and add section. But here I can add the book. Okay. If I add the book and click on add book, what it will go, it will hit the same URL, right? And then I'll have to make sure that it adds to 3. So that I'll take care of now. Let us go to create book and change these things. Okay, so enter book name, enter book name, and then it is say B name. This is add book. Okay, add book. That's it. This is what we wanted. All right, now I'll go to app.py and see what will happen if we hit it with post. So you mention if request dot method equals to post. Okay, what it should do if the request dot method is post. Okay, what are we actually getting? We are getting section ID, right? So we can use this section ID. We will create a object called B1 and we'll add it in book. Then we the thing that we provide is book name. Okay. So how do we deal with book name? We have to take it from form. Okay, and then I know that there is a column called sect, which I can easily put the section ID. And now I don't need to worry about what section ID it is, because my application is able to take that, right? So I'll simply write section ID, the variable I've passed as an argument. Okay, sect equals section ID. Now the only thing is book name. So I'll write book, or I guess it was B name, so I'll use the same. B name equals to request dot form dot get as a string. It was B name, right? So same thing I've assigned as same variable. You can put any variable you want. Make sure this variable comes here. Okay, and this is a variable, so it will not come as string. Okay, now once you are created with the object, same thing. We need to do these things. Right, so we need to add that book to session and then commit the session. And once this is done, what we can do, we can go to. So what we need to do, we don't want to go to this route. Why? Because we don't want all the books. We want only this page to get updated. For example, so for mathematics there is no book, right? If I click on add a book and then put the book name and add the book, it should appear here. I need to make sure this gets updated, right? So we'll go back to that page. Okay, so I guess this is the page, right? So if I see this is book 3 books. Okay, so this is the page, right? So same thing I'll render return redirect. See, the thing is, if I click on a redirect, okay, I think I can use it. Okay, redirect. But in a redirect, I need to make sure that, okay, the thing that I'm using, what is the I'm using? It should be this / it should take ID, section ID / books. But the thing is, I cannot use this. I mean this. Why? Because this is a variable of URL, Flask URL. You can, only the URL in app.route will understand, okay, this is the variable you are creating as int and this is the name of that variable. Only this URL will understand. Redirect will not understand that. Okay. Again, this is not HTML. So Jinja will also not, your Flask, your Python will not be able to understand that what is this Jinja. Okay, because this is not HTML. So what we have to do, we have to use use it like the string method, right? Formatting the string. Okay, and we don't need to give the, what we say, we don't need to give the format. I mean, the type. We just have to pass this variable and use it as the format string. Okay, this is what we have to do. I hope this will work. Let's see. Okay, so if I go to mathematics, I don't see any books. I'll also have to make sure that when there are no books in the section, it says, okay, there are no books. Okay, if I click on add a book, it will show me enter the book and say, let's say, algebra. So if I click on add a book, it should redirect me and show me the same, right? So so what I said with this, I mean, what I did with this is working just fine, right? Any doubt here? Okay, there are 12 participants. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, any chat? Okay, no doubt, right? Now we are ready to, I mean, we are done with creating and creating and reading the stuff. Now there are two things, update and delete, right? Rather, what I want to do is, what should happen now? My idea of this application should be, you go to, I mean, you go to all the books here. Along with this, you have two buttons, update and delete. Along with this book, I mean, this row should have two buttons, and I want to leave these two parts to you. I mean, to the update and to delete. Okay, I guess that is very easy because same same routing you have to use for update and delete. Same routing you have to use. Just change the name method, and then here in delete, instead of add, you have to write delete here and then commit. In case of update, how do we do update? For example, if I want to change the name of a book, so I'll retrieve that object. Okay, so let's say this object is retrieved like this. S1 is the book. So B1 equals to book dot query dot get. Let's say the book ID, because we know the book ID, right? We can take the book ID from here, from the database, because this is what we are doing. This is list item anyway, but book ID can be retrieved from the book name, right? So if you have the book name, if you click on book, it will take the book ID. Let's say book ID is 2. Now you have the object. What you can do, if you want to change the name of book ID, sorry, the book B1, what you can do, B1 dot book name equals to whatever name you want to put, the new name. Okay, and once this is done, you don't need to add anything to session. You just have to commit. So this is what you have to do for update, right? I just want only two things to deal with here. If I click on update, I mean delete, it will delete, no issues. It will vanish from the database, and then this page should reload. I mean, we have to delete and then redirect to this section. Fine. For update, I have to click on update, right? If I click on update, it will take me, it should take me to a form just like this, right? And then instead of enter section name, what you have to write new name, right? Because I guess in update also you can change, you will be able to change only the name of section or name of book, right? So from here, just put the new name and then update. If that is done, what you have to do, you have to update it and then reload, I mean redirect to what link? The link that shows all the list of sections, like this, right? In case of section, it should show me all the sections. If I am a particular section and updated a book, it should redirect you to that particular section and with the updated name, right? So this is what is something I think I should leave to you. Fine. I hope, there are so many things that I've tried to clear. Even in update and delete, you will be, some logic will change. Only logic will change, but the way we are redirecting to URLs, the way HTML forms are created, the way we are using dynamic URLs. For example, if I'm clicking on something, this is really important, this part. So if I click on something, I should take that particular part as a dynamic part of URL and then deal with that in the URL is something that you need to understand. Other than that, everything is simple HTML. right? And then what we have done with CLI, right? I hope this is clear, right? Whatever we have done till now, is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Right. So I guess this has been a really long session, but I hope I am able to clear some of your queries regarding the, conversion, sorry, what we say, connection of a database with a Flask application and to actually interact with it on the front end, right? Okay.
Yes,
so,
sir. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So if I hope you can take the update and delete part as homework. And after this session, I will put the entire code, with update and delete part incorporated. I'll put the entire code on Discourse and also on the portal. Okay, for your future references, right? So this will help you with the lab assignment also, in case you want some help with update and delete part. Will that be fine?
So
Yes.
can you just explain that redirect wala line again? Redirect to that format string.
Yeah. So see, what happens is if I go to this part, see what I want to do. My objective is, whenever I add a book. Okay, so if I click on add book now, what should it should take? It should go to the controller and do the adding part in the database. That is clear, right?
Yes, sir.
This part is clear, right? Adding. Where were we? Here. So what it should do when I click on add, within the post request, what is happening is clear, right? Only the redirect is an issue.
No, redirect with that format F wala is not clear. Redirect is clear. Redirect with the F you wrote, that is not clear.
So okay, I'll tell you. So what should happen? If I click on add book, what it should give me? Where it should go? It should go to that particular section only, right? I'm adding this book section stars to geography. I'm not sure where I'm adding. Yeah, geography. So if I add a book name stars to geography, what it should happen? It should not go to the all section. All the books. It should not go to all the books. It should go to only those books. It should go to that particular section and list with a book. Right? Just I've added, right? So just like this. But the problem here is, if I go to that redirect, what is this? What is this URL? This is taking some integer and books. This is the URL actually. So that is what I've written here. But the thing is, if I want to, what is the section ID? It should, if I go to that particular section, if I want to go to that particular section, I have to put in the section ID, right? Dynamically in the URL. Okay. Generally, for example, if you see this redirect part, it is a string. Okay. It is a string, but it is normal. It is not a dynamic string. It is, hard-coded string. Only sections is there. But this string, if I want to go to this URL, I will have to take care of this dynamic part of that URL. Okay. Right. So every time this URL, whenever I'm hitting a URL, it will be like 2/books. Right. Something like this. Then it should be 3/books. Right. Now what I'm doing, I want to put this dynamically, right? I want to put this dynamically. So for that, I've used fstring. You know string formatting using fstring?
String formatting in print we know, sir, but that F string I will have to look.
Okay, so you can use this one, or you can use another way. Let's say, let us see here.
We can generate that ahead and just pass it as a variable also. No.
Yeah, that you can do, no issues. But anyway, see, the thing is, from here to here, it is complete string. You are passing a dynamic part within the string, right? Within the string.
So it is not part of the redirect function. It is just a general string format.
General string. Yeah. It is general. It is not the part of redirect. So you can use any other string method if you want.
Okay.
Okay, any other string method. I'm not recalling the syntax now. That's why I'm not using. But this is the simplest one I know. I'm not recalling the syntax for other. You have other methods like dot format, right? Dot format, and then within format you type the variable name, and here you write the variable name. Right? You're getting this what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Now I understood. I thought that is different.
No. It is nothing. It has nothing to do with the redirect method. See, just the idea is you are redirecting to a URL that is having a dynamic part within it, right? So to have a dynamic part within it, you will have to, this redirect will not take care of the dynamic part. Redirect is simply redirect. So for example, if I write, just see what happens. I'll just remove this redirect part. Okay. And I'll remove this also. And I'll remove this also. And if I give, this is my name, right? This. So this is a simple string. So if I save this, I go to application and I just want to add a book. Okay, I guess the server died. Yeah. Invalid syntax. Oh, fine. I've written some unnecessary things here. Okay, now if I go back to creating a book, just give me a minute. Yeah, so here if I add a book, let's say, oh no, stars is already added, right? So let's say if I add a book, it will add it to the database. No issues with that. See, because whatever I'm doing in the background is okay. I mean, if I see, if you go to this, see countries, it will add to the database. That is okay. The only problem is redirect. What is it redirecting to? Whatever I've given as a static string, right? So the everything that is with the forward slash that follows the forward slash will come here, right? Now the problem is now what I want is I want to go with a dynamic part and then the books. So to take care of that dynamic part, here I have written I've taken care of F string. So F, then this forward slash, then this, and here I'm just passing on the section ID, which will which will take care of that. Which will put this variable into this. Okay, it will put variable into this. So every time you run this, it will put along with the variable. So it is similar to what we are doing with HTML here. Wherever where we are using HTML, Jinja, right here. So whenever this gets rendered, it will replace this placeholder, right? So here, this whatever comes in the single curly bracket is actually the placeholder. So if I save this.
Well, now I understood. It is something introduced in Python 3.6. Now I understood, sir. Okay.
Okay, fine, right?
Yeah. Mother, I did not understand this F string interpolation which was introduced now.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if you see here, now the string is coming with the format, right? Yeah. So I hope you got the idea.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So I guess this is something I would stop here with, because the update and create part is something we might take time, and I guess which is a lot of code repetition, right? Whatever I've told, a lot of concept repetition. Only some things will vary. So to take care of that, I'll just give the solution to that before the deadline, definitely. So that it will help you, let's say, to refer for the week 5 assignment, right? Okay, so if there are no doubts, is that okay? Shall we consider this part done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So thank you for sticking around with me for a very long time. Not only this session, but the other 3 sessions. So we have discussed a lot of things. And okay, fine. Yeah.
Sir, so and also if possible, week 6 deadline.
Yeah, I'll just put it.
At least upwards. Not week 5, at least week 6.
Sure. I'll just try to put it upstairs. Okay. Okay, fine. Is that okay? Shall we call it a day?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for joining. It's really late. So, okay. Thanks for joining very much. Yeah, so we'll end the session here and we'll end this SQL part. Next, we'll start with API, incorporating this API in the application. So I hope you, I just request you to go through the application and create this application so that it will be easier for you to work along with me when we do the API part. Okay, I'm thinking to use the same app for incorporating APIs. All right, okay, fine. Let's close the session.